The baby whale swam too close to the shore and ended up among more than a dozen surfers. Now the baby is scared and may accidentally throw himself onto dry land, but the mother was on her guard. She swam up to her cub and managed to push it away from the shallow water. Surprisingly, the alarmed female did not show any aggression towards people who were not sure who they were dealing with. But although an adult whale could sweep several people off the boards into the water with one blow of its tail, the female only poured water on them. At the same time, sometimes the maternal care of animals looks not only so much menacing as cute and touching. Here, the owner prepares food for the puppy. While the guy mixes the ingredients of the treats, he keeps the baby away from the bowl. The puppy persistently wanders to the food, but the guy is still busy. This scene is watched by the mother, who at some point decides, well, that's enough, and puts her paw on the guy's arm so that he finally lets her cub go to the food. No aggression, just a sweet and funny scene. But the guy did not expect that the mother would so tactfully stand up for her baby. This gray crow got involved with the wrong mother hen. When a dangerous bird flew into the coop, she hoped to scare the chicken and catch herself a chicken for lunch. But she was wrong. The chicken showed incredible determination instead of panic. Just look at how she deals with the shocked crow. She tries to fight back, but the chicken just tramples her. After the chicken immobilized the opponent and suppressed the resistance, she did not stop and began to peck right into the opponent's neck. It seems that she does not want to let the enemy go alive, so that he will return for a second attack when he recovers. This can be understood. For the sake of the offspring, the bird, and any mother, is ready for different actions. Sometimes you can't do without harsh measures, especially since crows are stubborn and smart. But this crow will no longer threaten anyone. After several blows to the throat, the chicken began to hit the enemy's skull and eyes exactly. Attempts to fight back seem desperate, and then the crow weakens, and its wings only twitch slightly under the blows of the chicken. These two guanacos didn't know who they were dealing with. Mountain lions usually rely on a quick attack and retreat if they cannot defeat the enemy for a long time. But here the situation is developing according to an unusual scenario. The cougar attacked two guanacos, who immediately scattered to the sides. The predatory cat managed to catch one of the enemies at the last moment, but did not overwhelm, but only hooked its claws on the hind legs of the victim. The guanaco showed impressive resistance and began kicking to throw off the predatory cat. Of course, the mountain lion is not afraid of hoofbeats, but the more the predator spends energy, the less benefit from hunting, even if successful. But the cougar does not retreat. She demonstrates incredible agility and right during the wild rodeo reaches her fangs into the neck of the prey from behind. She climbs, but the guanaco throws the predator off her back at the very last moment. Just a second before the predator's fangs close around her neck. A victory? Not at all. The cougar suddenly jumps up and attacks the guanaco again. The herbivore did not expect such tenacity, but the reason for such a dedication is simple. A kitten is watching the hunt. The guanaco is not only prepared for the role of lunch, all this hunting is kind of textbook. According to which a fluffy and cute baby learns to get food for himself right now. And the puma is ready to give 100% for him. She jumps back onto the back of the guanaco, after which she finally gets to the throat of the opponent. This zebra showed the hyena that it is better not to approach foals at all. The enraged female ran into the predator, knocked it down due to the advantage in mass and acceleration, and then began the chase. The hyena has no chance but to stand up to such fury. She runs away in a panic, and the zebra also bites the enemy on the run and grabs the base of the spine with its teeth. The hyena was lucky. An adult female could bite her spine. That's really who has a reputation for vulnerable and defenseless cuties, so it's rabbits. But when the crow attacked the cub, She did not understand that for the sake of saving the offspring, the baby's mother is able to awaken the spirit of a samurai within herself. Just look at how the female resolutely runs at the aggressor. You don't expect this from timid rodents. But it becomes clear that for her, protecting the baby is not just a reflex, but the main goal. She fights off the offspring of an enemy stunned by such a rebuff, after which she begins to chase the bird. When mom is far away, the only chance for a little rabbit to survive is to go unnoticed. Agreed. At first, you really didn't notice the baby among the foliage, especially behind the fence. But the snake is guided by smell, not just by sight. She explores the whole neighborhood with a sensitive tongue, realizes that lunch is nearby, and finds the rabbit. And when he finds him, he immediately rushes at him, bites into him, and begins to strangle him. Are you scared? Don't worry, Mom came to the rescue just in time. The snake certainly did not expect such fury. The rabbit was fighting a snake, and the first part of the battle is difficult to make out behind all these plants. But it is clearly visible how the tail and body of the snake flicker. The enraged female throws the snake from side to side, bites it with hard teeth, and beats it with clawed paws. And the reptile is completely powerless, and the rabbit ignores its bites. After receiving a terrible beating, the snake breaks free and crawls away to a higher bush. It remains to be hoped that both the mother and the baby will survive and be able to recover from such an attack. You know the expression, it's as easy as taking a toy away from a child? Well, this is clearly not a baby gorilla. This black ball of fur was clutching his favorite toy so sweetly and looked so helpless. It's so small that it's hard to even call it a game. A young teenage gorilla from the same enclosure decided that it could be used to take away her favorite thing. That's just the baby was being watched by the mother all this time. She was sitting motionless, probably admiring her offspring. And as soon as the teenager took one extra step towards the baby, the female immediately started up and went across like a living, mighty mountain. The teenager immediately retreated. He did not want to get into the face for some piece of rubber. It's reasonable. It's not worth contacting her cub. Mom is always there to help. Actually, male lions are very good dads, but this one is still very young. He is so actively interested in the den with newborn lion cubs that he may accidentally harm them. The female understands this and gives the male such a beating that the lion begins to realize who the real leader is in the pride. He fights back because he has an advantage in mass. But the lioness doesn't care. She clearly knows a lot about martial arts. Just look, she's throwing a lion over her head. The stunned male does a somersault, lands on his back, and retreats. And the lioness also beats him with a clawed paw in pursuit. It's funny that after receiving such a painful lesson, the lion behaves as if nothing had happened. But the cubs are provided with peace when such a brave mother is around. The porcupine is a very difficult opponent in itself, but still this beast is usually not particularly aggressive. He fights back desperately and harshly, but tries not to bring it to a fatal end and avoids a fight until he is finally exasperated. However, in this case of a threat to offspring, the porcupine's patience runs out much faster. You can say instantly. When a predator attacks a family of these animals, it makes the biggest mistake of its life. Porcupines don't even waste time trying to retreat. They immediately launch a counterattack. Their goal is not just to give battle to the enemy, but to pile on him so that the leopard can never threaten anyone ever again. Male and females act as a united front. While one of the parents covers the kids and protects them, as the last line of defense, the second one acts directly against the leopard. The porcupine is at least 3 times inferior to the enemy in mass, but the parents don't really care. At first, the leopard still thought that he was here, a cool and scary predator. But the porcupines quickly proved to him that today the spotted cat was destined for the role of victim. The leopard maneuvered, tried to get around the porcupines and catch their cub, and for a while the situation looked threatening. But in fact, the baby is safe. The enraged parents immediately stopped the predator's attempts to attack their offspring. Instead of just holing up to protect their needles, the porcupines went into battle. The leopard trapped itself when it got so close to two adults. This was a fatal mistake. The leopard, even with all its agility, did not have a chance to dodge. The needles tore through the predator's skin and sank deep into its flesh. But this is just the beginning. When the pain pierced the cat's body, he realized that he needed to retreat, but no one would let him go. The porcupines surround the leopard. Their needles are pointed backwards so as not to interfere with the beasts themselves, so they have to back away to attack. It doesn't look too dangerous, but only as long as the needles are not near the predator's eyes. Porcupines ram the enemy, bypass him, do not let go, and leave needles in his body again. The jagged tips of the sharp needles not only penetrate deep into the leopard's body, but also get stuck there. But the base of the needles is smooth, so they come out of the porcupine's body pretty easily. As a result, the leopard receives multiple deep penetrating wounds that threaten its internal organs. But the main thing is that the needles remain inside. The leopard itself cannot take them out, at least not when there are so many. The leopard's wounds will begin to rot, the inflammation will turn into blood poisoning. And even until this happens, the predator will not be able to hunt because the needles will prevent it from sneaking up and running, depriving it of sleep and disturbing it. And the predator is also threatened with starvation. But now the spotted cat does not know all of this. He stops trying to eat the little baby porcupines. This lion underestimated hyenas. She's obviously beaten them more than once before. But this time the lioness came too close to the den with cubs. That's why the whole pack came down on her. Hyenas surrounded the lioness and let her know that she had made a mistake in choosing enemies. We will show you other cases when animals make a similar mistake and pay for it. The bear is a powerful predator, and a couple of these animals are a small army that cannot be stopped. That's why they themselves thought when they broke into the territory of this house, the animals were wrong. A small projectile charged with pure rage burst out to meet them. The French bulldog is 10 times lighter and smaller than bears, but its pressure causes a real shock to wild animals. Although the bear easily stopped the bulldog with its paws, the dog was not afraid and continued the attack. It was able to get a good grip on the bears, and they decided that it was better to get out quickly rather than to fight with this little berserk. Most of all, the maneuverability of the short-legged dog is surprising, which not only ran between the paws of the bears, but also did not forget to apply short, painful bites. It's great to have such a defender. Why do you think the predators retreated? Perhaps they decided that the bulldog is rabid? Or were they really scared by the reaction of the dog, which turned out to be much more violent than the wild predators expected? Share your opinion in the comments. Elephants usually behave with restraint and nobility. They roam the savanna in search of food and avoid unnecessary violence. The rhinoceros is another matter. They are extremely easy to provoke into a fight, especially if we are talking about a female with a cub. Then the rhinoceros turns into a frenzied tangle of irritability, which is ready to rush at any animal for no reason at all. But attacking this elephant turned out to be a huge mistake. From a calm, phlegmatic man, this giant has turned into a fierce fighter who will easily sweep away anyone. The rhinoceros weighs about 4 tons, but the elephant is so strong that it easily throws off its opponent, knocks them to the ground, makes them trample on their own cub, and then almost drowns them. When they start telling you in self-defense courses that size is not the main thing, then show them this video. Pure power matters. Just ask the elephant. The impala has no chance against a lioness. If she even hooks the gazelle with her claws, it will immediately fill it up. But the ungulate does not even give the predator a chance to do this. The gazelle takes off, and it seems that she will not have time to escape from the predator that has gained acceleration. But the impala makes its most famous maneuver with lightning speed. It changes the direction of running at full speed and dodges the enemy. The gazelle's astute accuracy is worthy of a like, don't you think? Macaques are used to the fact that running up a tree is a universal way to avoid any problem. Is the hyena attacking? It doesn't matter. A couple of jumps, and the spotted predator won't do anything to the primate in the crown. Can tigers climb trees? The macaque could only laugh. Heavyweights like lions or tigers do not have access to thin branches. I even feel sorry for the striped cat, which fell to the ground and was left without its lunch. But neglecting the leopard turned out to be a big mistake. The last mistake in the life of this primate, who decided that running to the very top of the tree would save him. The leopard was so agile that he was able to run into the thinnest branches. And when the monkey tried to dodge his throw and jump to another branch, the cat did an acrobatic trick right in the air and grabbed its prey. At the same time, the predator turned out to be so strong that when he fell from the height of the third floor to the ground, it not only did not hurt him in any way, but he did not even let the prey out of his mouth. Even birds can't feel safe in nests at the top of trees. Birds build dens where the branches are too thin even for some snakes. But that will not stop the leopard. The cat is so agile that it seems as if she controls her weight, or gravity. The leopard should not be underestimated. An important life lesson for any bully. If you want to run over someone, even if the victim seems defenseless, think about it. Who were her friends? Maybe this chicken itself is not capable of giving the falcon a decent rebuff, but she's doing great with the ability to make friends. When the bird of prey attacks its victim, literally the whole farm rushes to help the chicken. Another chicken, without fear, rushed to attack the falcon, and then they were joined by a goat, a real heavyweight relative to a fairly small bird of prey. Altogether, they practically trampled the impudent falcon, who made a mistake with the choice of prey as never before. Such cohesion deserves respect, doesn't it? This is probably the most epic confrontation between two equal rivals that we have seen in recent times. The tiger decided to attack the bear. This idea will seem doubtful to you, but the tiger can't afford it. The world's largest panther has a pretty good chance of success. First of all, it is the experience of confrontation with those who are in the same weight category with him. Tigers bring down giant bulls and fight fiercely amongst themselves, so the desire to have lunch with a bear is not so strange. It's just that the tiger underestimated the will to live and stubbornness of a club-footed predator. The bear not only fought back, but began to fight back so fiercely that with every second of the duel, the tiger's chances only became less. At the same time, it must be recognized that the tiger correctly assessed its capabilities. He really had all the trump cards. Both of these animals are heavyweights, but the striped cat is still bigger. Both have effective combat tactics and fight mainly with their paws. And they use their fangs when they can pull the vulnerable part of the victim closer with their claws, for example, the muzzle. But the tiger is still cooler in this case. Both rivals have monstrous strength, but the tiger is stronger. However, for all its advantages, it struggles for lunch. And the bear is for life. Therefore, contrary to all calculations, it is the bear that comes out the winner. Yes, the tiger is alive and relatively intact, but the bear was able to defend himself and, as a result of a long and intense fight, forced the aggressor to retreat. If the lizard is in danger, it can throw back its tail and hide. But the raccoon is aware of this technique. He does not pay attention to the twitching tail of the reptile and grabs it. The lizard clearly underestimated the raccoon's ability to learn. The power of this charismatic animal with a cute mask on his eyes should not be underestimated either. This mistake was made by a wildcat. He thought that a well-fed baby with a fluffy tail would become a simple and satisfying prey. And it is not like that. The raccoon got angry and went into a brazen frontal attack himself. The cat has a hard time. He constantly wags, tries to get away from capture, and retreats. The raccoon is absolutely not afraid of the cat's counterattacks and continues to stubbornly go into battle, even if he is threatened with dangerous blows with claws. But the predator does not want to get into the jaws of a raccoon at all. But the most amazing thing is that when the wildcat has already turned to flight, the raccoon himself began to chase her. It's like saying, "Hey you, come here and do it again. Lads, where are you going?" The case when the big guy ran into a not-so-big, but rapid fighter. The squirrel is a cute vegetarian rodent. A fluffy tail, red fur, a small muzzle with beautiful eyes, and the ability to take nuts with their front paws make them one of the most charming inhabitants of both city parks and wild forests. Well, squirrels have another advantage. If modern fashion psychologists are right about accepting the dark side, whatever that means, then squirrels are a model of success in this manner. After all, the charming, sweet, and kind squirrel has another side. This is a crazy berserk warrior who attacks everything he doesn't like. You surprised? It's true. A squirrel may be the first to attack a poisonous snake. And this despite the fact that the reptile did not even try to bite the rodent. It's just that the squirrel doesn't like such company. But the snake is several times longer, and a single bite will be enough to stop the rodent's heart. Do you think this causes our furry hero any doubts? No, of course not. She simply tramples the snake into the ground with her furious pressure and speed. If a squirrel can cope with a nutshell with its teeth, then it will cope with a reptile skull all the more. The snake is just in shock. She clearly did not expect that she would face such a strong opponent in the face of this seemingly harmless squirrel. Fluffy can even pile on a cobra. At the same time, in battle, he also uses his front paws with which he can firmly grasp the target. The squirrel acts incredibly actively and moves from evasion to counterattack almost at lightning speed. It is difficult for the eye to keep track of the speed of movement of this fluffy fighter. A real feat for an animal that can fit into the palm of your hand. At the same time, the squirrel not only avoids the snake's attacks, but attacks itself. It's not running away. Clearly, she has plans for this reptile. Who knows, maybe when your parents took you out to the park to drive some squirrels, it wasn't a nice family tradition, but something of like a tribute. "Oh, Mr. Squirrel, take these nuts, but don't touch us, please." You find that funny? And these snakes are not laughing. Underestimating a squirrel was the biggest mistake in the life of each of these venomous reptiles. However, after all, it is not invincible. This time, the squirrel underestimated the opponent. She thought she could easily confuse and escape from a feline predator. But they are not for nothing considered one of the most effective hunters. The beast rushes at the prey and catches it without any problems. It seems that these races were just fun. Do you feel sorry for a squirrel, or are you rooting for a predator? Answer in the comments. When mongooses were brought to America to fight rattlesnakes, it turned out that Asian predators, which fight on a par with cobras, are inferior to American snakes in speed. Well, mongooses just had to learn from mice. More precisely, a kangaroo rat. Believe me, this rodent is really unusual and will be able to surprise you. It's probably a relative of the splinters rat. she quickly dodges the snake's throw not even once, but several times. Just look at the height of her jump. If a person was capable of such feats, he could jump to the 3rd floor of the house without a run and dodge a bullet. A mouse that can fit into the palm of your hand is able to instantly jump above the waist of an adult. Do you think that's all? No matter how, the mouse turned out to be so brave that she not only dodged another snake attack, but even hit her back. Even a karate champion is unlikely to repeat this feat. Get away from the blow and at the same time turn around in the air to hit the snake on the head with both feet. That is, a rodent can change the direction of movement right in the air and turn around for a really strong blow. The reptile is clearly in shock. In the future, it should be more careful to choose rivals. In slow motion, it can be seen that the blow stunned the snake, and she did not even have time to close her mouth during the fall. After all, after the victory, the mouse also humiliated the snake when she drew a handful of sand directly into her eyes.